Hey, welcome to Romance Happy Hour. I am Dylan Crush, and I am here tonight without Dawn. Dawn had a prior commitment, so she's unable to join us tonight, but I do have two fabulous guest authors with us tonight. We've got Julie Ranseth. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
And we've got Tori Fields. So
Hi.
thank you so much to both of you for being with me. And yeah, we'll try to have fun without Dawn, although it's never as much fun without Dawn, but I'm going to do my best. So, so thanks for being with us on a Thursday night. I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourselves and maybe tell us whatever it is that you want readers to know about you. So, Tori, if you want to go first.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Tori Fields. I write contemporary insta love romance. What I kind of like to say, it's all the sweet and heat you want. So it's sort of like Hallmark, but a little bit more steamy. It is open door. And currently, I do have a ongoing series out right now called Ink and Love. The first 3 books are out, the next 2 are coming, as well as a completed series called Sugar and Steam. And then because of this special recording, I have both the books I'm reading from tonight are on sale for 99 cents on Kindle just for today and tomorrow.
Oh, cool. Thanks for doing that. I didn't know you were
Yeah.
going to do that. We'll have
Little
to make
flash
sure.
sale.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure everybody knows. So, very cool. And Jen, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, Julie?
Sure. Hi, I'm Julie Ranseth. I write steamy paranormal romance, mostly novellas, so short form. More specifically, I do shifter romance because I love a good fated mate story, especially when the man falls first. I have one series that's more new adult paranormal with witches and werewolves, but my most recent 2 series are adult. They have a variety of shifters, and these 2 are set in the same world where humans know about shifters. I also have the second book of my current series is actually on for free today and tomorrow. So that's Ethan's Embrace, if anyone wants to look up.
Awesome. Yeah, if you want to pop those in our little private chat, I'll share the links with everybody so that they can go grab those right from our broadcast. That's great. Yeah, it's so funny because first of all, we did not coordinate tonight at all. I think everybody knows that authors sign up and grab the date that they want, and we never know if we're going to end up with somebody writing Regency historical and somebody writing like erotic or Christian inspirational, and so I just think it's really funny that we have both of you write, the Insta Love shorts. And as we talked about before we went live, I think most of our viewers know I also write as Eve London, and I write steamy contemporary shorts under that pen name. So yeah, it's kind of funny. The short authors, or I should say, I am short too. I don't know if you guys are short, but the authors of shorts are taking over Romance Happy Hour tonight. So I think that's awesome. Although we haven't had very many paranormal steamy short authors on here. So
It's light paranormal, like they
Mhm.
are shifters and it has the fated mate aspect, but it's got a bit of a contemporary feel to it as well. Like my current one is actually Shifter Cowboys.
Oh,
Takes
awesome.
place on it takes place on a ranch.
All right,
So
That's
what do
so
they shift into?
fun.
mostly bears, but
Okay, I was going to say not like horses or anything, right?
no. And then I
Okay.
also have in this series a tiger and a wolf.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, you see a lot of wolves and bears, but not so much tigers. So
Yeah.
that's
It
kind
was
of
fun.
fun.
I made it. There's 6 adopted brothers, so I was able to
Okay.
play around with the shifter types.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun.
Very cool. Well, since we're all here writing shorts, it would be kind of interesting to hear like what drew you both to shorts. What is it? And I don't know. I know Tori, you also write. We talked a little bit before this. You write horror.
Mhm.
Julie, do you write in another genre or anything, or is it
Uh,
just the shorts?
no, just the shorts.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for both of you, like what drew you into the shorts? I mean, I know what drew me in, but I'd love to hear from you just to see. I don't know, whoever wants to go first. Jump in.
For me, I just wanted to kind of play around at
Mhm.
first, and as I wrote it, I had a little bit of an idea for a world. And so I started to kind of play around in it. And I found that my writing it flowed well. And I enjoyed telling those short stories. And just having where somebody could just have an escape for 2 hours and they get the full story. And because I'm somebody who I like those short sometimes because I have a hard time putting books down once I start. I have to know what happened.
Anybody can identify with that, right?
Yeah. Kind of going along with that, like Dylan said, I am a horror writer under my legal name, Brianna Malatke, and I love, in between writing horror, I love reading the novellas, right? To me, it's sort of like a palate cleanser. And it's a pick me up in the 2 hours, and I just love that, it's similar to a movie, right? You have a couple hours and you're good. And I really like that about the novella length. So that's why I like to stick with it for romance.
Okay. Well, and do you find it, and I don't know, Julie, if you'll be able to answer this or not, if you haven't written long, but do you find it easier or harder to write shorter? Like, what do you think is more challenging?
I think there's challenges to both.
Oh, for
Because
sure.
in short, you have to really compress and sell that relationship between the two because you don't have a lot of pages to build it.
Yep.
And I like my first series is a little bit longer. They're about 40 to 50,000 words, so they technically qualify as novels, but just barely. Having that short one, it's so much compressed that, but there's also I think in some ways it's easier because you don't have as much going on. You're really distilling down to the relationship, and everything impacts that relationship and has to on the
Right.
page.
Yeah,
Yep.
it can be challenging sometimes. And like I have a couple of stories in progress that I thought were going to be novella length, and they are not leading that way. So who knows when they'll be done. But but it's fun, but it's challenging. Like, what do you want to spend your focus on? You're limited to 25,030 words. So
Right. Well, and what's your sweet spot? Because I know
I
that they
think,
have the short reads. So, are
yeah,
you
I think
aiming
mine's
for like
right around
1 hour and a half?
22.
Okay.
22,000, I think, is like the average for mine. So maybe like an hour and a half, 2 hours, depending on
Okay.
your reading speed.
Yeah, mine fall in the 2-hour reads category. So
Okay.
they're the current series, the first series of my shorts were a little bit shorter, but this new series has a little bit more suspense to it.
Okay.
And so it's more in the 22 to 24 range.
Got it. Yeah, when I first started writing shorts as Eve, I was really, targeting that like 1 hour reads. And some of those stories are, 7,500 to 9,000 words long. And there's not a whole lot that you can put,
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like building up an entire relationship and, all of that. And so going from writing like 90,000 word full length books down to 8,000. I thought, oh, this will be easy, because it's so fewer words. And I thought it was really challenging because you don't have any room to waste. Everything has to
Yeah.
be focused,
Has
which
to
I mean, normally in
matter.
a romance, most of it
Yeah.
is focused on the relationship as well, but there's not room for, subplots and all this other kind of stuff. Although I don't know, I think I do try to cram a lot into my shorts. So which is why it's so nice. A lot of them can be set in a series, right? Because that way, if you do want to do the world building, if you've got 6 books to do it, you can be introducing a little bit into each one. And I love that because you actually get like the world building that happens in a full novel, but it's broken over, several different books. So,
Yeah, that's great.
all right. Well, We are going to have Tori read first tonight. She volunteered reluctantly after. No, it wasn't reluctant. You jumped right in there.
Yeah.
So we're going to have you read first, and
Okay.
you want to set it up and tell us what exactly we're going to get to hear?
Yes. Yes. So I'm going to read my meet cutes from both of my books because they are funny to me. So I wanted to share them. And so I'm going to read from Pampered in Paris first. And it's starting on page 4. So you're not really getting to miss much. Just that the main character, Anne, is a pastry chef, and had just finished attending a pastry convention in Paris, and so she's out at
Ooh.
the market right now. So,
Okay. Well, we will set you up. Let me remember how to do this, and we will be back when you're done.
okay. And I apologize for any mispronunciations of my French. It's very rusty. After I pay, I decide to stop into a cafe to grab an espresso and a sweet treat. I just spent days making and eating pastries, but I still can't get enough of these French baked goods. Armed with caffeine and an almond croissant, I search for an empty table. The sun is bright, and I instantly wish I had a free hand to grab my sunglasses. I squint as I look around. Right as I turn, someone bumps into me. I start to tumble forward, the weight of my tote bag pulling me down as I feel warm hands wrap around my waist and gently pull me backwards. I drop my pastry, but I'm able to maintain my grip on my espresso. Ah, zut, je suis désolée, madame, the stranger spurts before letting me go. I stare into his dark blue eyes, and all I can think about is how captivating his gaze is as his eyes look me up and down. His face looks like something an artist would want to paint. He has tanned skin, a strong jawline with stubble, and brunette hair that reminds me of dark chocolate. It looks soft, and I feel myself instinctively starting to reach out to touch it before snapping back to the present. My cheeks redden, and it's not just the sun on my skin this time, but a blush forming. I fumble for words as he picks up my pastry off the ground. I have yet to reply, mesmerized by this stranger's model like appearance. My mouth is dry, and I feel tongue tied. Tu veux que je t'achète une nouvelle pâtisserie? His deep voice rolls over me and makes me feel like a teenager with a crush. I can't think of a reply. I'm sorry, do you speak English by chance? I finally say as I take the pastry from his hands. I'll throw it away nearby. He smiles at me and his eyes seem to sparkle. Yes, I speak English. I'll start over. He reaches his hand out and I shake it. My name is Alexandra, and I'm sincerely sorry for bumping into you. I wasn't paying attention. I'd like to buy you a new pastry to apologize. His accent makes his W's sound breathy and his R's throatier. I'm Anne, and that's okay. You don't have to do that. It was just an accident. His eyes remind me of a Vincent van Gogh artwork. They're a dark blue with almost a dash of purple, like the irises he painted. How about lunch then? I bite my bottom lip out of habit. I actually have a tour scheduled in a bit. I know I shouldn't go out with a guy I've just met, but at the same time, this trip is all about new experiences. And what's a better Parisian experience than a date with a really cute French guy? How about dinner then? I won't take no for an answer. I'm the head chef at a place over in the Latin Quarter. I can give you a meal on the house. He pulls out his phone and opens the address to show me. I feel as though I'm being pulled in different directions, but I decide to take the leap. Besides, it's only dinner. It's a public spot with no attachments afterwards. I suppose I need to eat dinner at some point. I take my phone out and copy the address into my notes app. I can be there around 7. Perfect, he exclaims as he takes one of my hands in his and gently kisses it. Until tonight, then, mon chéri. And then he leaves. If I wasn't blushing before, I certainly am now. And then I'm going to read the meet cute from Smitten Shelfie, which is book 3 in my current series called Ink and Love. And in this one, I'm starting on page 10. And so this is from the main guy's point of view, Calvin. And he is a grumpy wine store owner who is in the bookstore right now looking for a travel book. The store may be small, but tall rows of bookshelves make it feel as though you're wandering in a never-ending maze of books. I'm just over 6 feet tall, and I still need to tiptoe for the top shelf. I find the travel section and start at one end. I'm here for a specific book, but I figure I may as well browse. After a few minutes of skimming book spines, I notice a woman setting up a step stool in the middle of the aisle. She might be a whole foot shorter than me. No wonder she needs the stool. I continue to watch as she sets it up and starts to climb. She's wearing those weird heeled sandals that look like if you take one wrong step, you'd break an ankle. Her back is to me, so I don't see her face, but her wavy hair reminds me of a Pinot Noir with its purplish red color. I wonder if it's natural or dyed. I shake my head, trying to dump the thoughts out. There's no reason to be wondering about a stranger's appearance. I go back to looking for my book. I'm absorbed in the hunt when I find myself standing next to the lady on the stool. 1 minute, I notice her hand by mine, and the next, I hear a gasp. I turn just in time as she stumbles. The step stool tilts, and I catch her as it hits the floor. Oh my God, she exclaims as she opens her eyes. They're a rich chocolate brown, and it's mesmerizing. They get wider as she realizes I'm holding her in a bridal carry. I can feel my heart start to race. Her skin is warm under my palms. I swallow, my mouth suddenly dry. Odd, it must be dusty in here. Sorry, here, let me set you down, I grumble. I try not to focus on how soft her skin is or how much like lilacs and lavender she smells. I look away as she tussles her hair and straightens her skirt, but I can't keep my eyes off her. She's wearing a yellow sundress with thin straps, and it pulls across her chest as she straightens up to face me. Thanks for catching me. I'm Sarah. She extends her hand, and I shake it. Just like when I caught her, I feel this odd electric current as our skin touches. Probably just a static shock. I'm Calvin. And no problem, I reply as I turn to go back to finding my book. If I ignore her, then I can leave and pretend like my day is normal. As if I didn't just run into a woman who makes me lose my words and question my reality. Actually, she taps me, her curly mane level with my shoulders. Can you please grab me a book from up there? It's the one on Ireland. As soon as the words leave her mouth, I close my eyes and sigh. Because of course she wants the same book as me. Today is just not working out as I planned. And that's it.
Fun. Meet cutes are like, I don't know, probably my favorite part of a book to write and to read, because it kind of sets the tone for everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was fun. And I didn't realize until I was trying to figure out what I wanted to read tonight that I have 2 meet cutes where they're like literally bump into each other. So I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, I think I have a couple meet cutes where they bump into or fall into, or yeah, it's always, and people say that doesn't really happen in real life, but it was so funny because we were at a book signing last month and I was trying to like straighten my banner and everything. I got it all straightened, and then there was somebody on the other side that I had to walk around the table to go take a picture. And so I got the banner straightened and everything, and then I started walking, and then I tripped over it. And there was the author at the table next to me. Her husband was sitting in a chair, like right there. And I tripped over the banner, and I caught myself, but I almost went like headfirst into his lap. And like he kind of looked up. I was like,
it could have been a meet cute.
Well, yes, except yeah, we're both married to other people. But I thought that was so funny because I said, and people think these things don't happen in real life, you know? It's like every awkward stumble and meet cute. It's so they do. Those things really happen in real life.
Yes.
But anyways, we did have a couple questions.
Ooh.
Let me go back to them. Jen wants to know, and hi, Jen. I'm so glad you're here tonight with us. Jen wants to know, are you planners or a pantser? So, Tori,
Ooh.
let's have you answer that one first.
Yeah. So for my romance novellas, I am a planner and a pantser. So I outline what I call like a bullet point outline of these are the key points that I know I want to happen and the order they should happen. And then the rest of it is go as I write. So far it's working.
All right. How about you, Julie?
I actually do something very similar. I just start building it out step by step for like the points. It like a map. I want to get from point A to point B, but how I get from point A to point B is entirely a mystery to me until I write it.
Yeah.
Isn't that what makes it fun, though?
Yes.
I know author a little is when I started my first book, I pantsed my entire way through it, and then afterwards, I was like, I feel like this book needs to have like a point. And I think, what I was searching for was, some sort of like a character arc or, some sort of structure. And so, yeah, but it's so much fun as you're writing to discover like what these characters are going to do. So I know
Yeah.
some authors are, just total plotters and will write like a 20,000 word outline before they sit down to write a book. But then I
What
feel
it
like
must
I'd be
be
really
like.
bored because the book I feel like would have already been written. But it's so interesting
Yeah.
as Dawn and I have had hundreds of authors come on. It's so interesting to hear how other people do it because
Yeah.
everybody does it just a little bit different.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
Sounds
kind of
like
look
you're
at it
similar
like
though.
my almost like my external stuff. My stuff sort of the steps
Mhm.
are planned, but their actual relationship and how they interact is like it has to develop naturally on the page.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I can't say
Yeah.
this is how they're going to interact with each other. It's like I have to write the characters and
Mhm.
then put them in a scene together and see how it
Yeah.
plays out.
Yeah.
So how do you get to know your characters for both of you? Do you I know a lot of people will do character worksheets and things like that. Other people will sit down and like write a conversation with the other, with their characters, or how do you get to know them?
I honestly, I start writing with a blurb. My
Mhm.
book blurb is the very first thing that I write, and in it has a little snippet of what their character is and who they are. And other than that, it really does come out as I write. I write that
Mhm.
first scene and I see how does it play out on the page. And so I really do very little character prep before.
Mhm.
It's really that honing of the book blurb,
Mhm.
and it's usually what the book blurb that ends up on the website, like
Okay.
sale. And so that's about all I do for building the character.
I like to make little cheat sheets.
Mhm.
So I do like what their appearance is, what their love issue is, little facts that I should have written down. So later on, I remember if they have a sibling, what their name is.
Yes.
Those sorts of things. And I'll put like little odd quirks. But most of the time, as I'm writing the story, is when I'm deciding, oh, what if when they get nervous, they clean their glasses? And then I'll go back and I'll put that on my little cheat sheet.
Mhm.
So that way, if I usually am working on multiple things at the same time. So I try to make sure that I can go from project to project
Mhm.
without having to like start reading my stuff at page one. And so I'll go back to whatever my outline is, and it'll have like the character, and I'll put that little bullet point of, hey, when this person's nervous, they clean their glasses.
Mhm.
Remember this. So
Well, that is interesting that you work on multiple things at once.
I don't know
I
any other way.
I can I can write be writing one and editing one and things like that, but I have found that if I try to write more than one project at a time, I start to get character names mixed up and all kinds of
You need
stuff.
a cheat sheet. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I can't work on more than one at a time. I'm so linear. I'm linear in the way I
Mhm.
think, and it's like once it happens, it happened, and then if I switch to another story, it's like I can't keep like it's not that I can't keep the names straight or things like
Mhm.
that, but
Yeah.
it's the feel of the story and
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. So do you actually write multiple romance novels at the same time, or are you writing in different genres? I mean, maybe if I was writing, romance and fantasy or something, it would be easier because they'd have, like you said, Julie, a different feel to them or something. But
So, and this might explain a little bit. So my background is in costume design, and
oh,
so
fun.
I'm a very full world immersive. So I'll
Hmm.
have certain music and I'll have mood boards for my
Okay.
projects. And so that way I'm able to sit down and be like, today we are writing horror. We are working on horror poetry, and I'll pull up everything that I need for that. And then so right now I'm working on a horror poetry collection that's centered around demons, and I'm working on my first vampire paranormal romance story, as well as finishing the one of the books in the Ink and Love series. So those are the three things I'm working on at the moment, and I just
Okay.
bounce. It sort of helps for me personally if I feel stuck. I just move on and I work
Hmm.
on something else.
Yeah,
And then
that's a
I
good
get
way to
that
do it.
little dose of dopamine being like, yes, I just finished something. And then I'm like, I can go back to that chapter. And so it helps me. So
All right. Interesting. We did have another question from Deanna. She wants to know, Tori, have you been to France?
yes. I studied French all the way through college, and I'm so rusty, but I've been to France a couple of times, and I actually 2 years ago did a writer's residency in France at the Chateau d'Urquefort.
Oh,
And that's
tell
what
us more
sort
about
of
that.
brought up that's how Pampered in Paris came about, because I
Okay.
was like, I've missed France so much. What if? So,
So, how does a writer's residency like that come up? Is it something you had to apply for or okay.
yes. So I applied for it. That one is a mix of writers, musicians, and artists.
Mhm.
And so for however long your residency is, you're at a chateau with all of these creative people, and your only responsibility is to make art. And it's fabulous. So
Mhm.
you don't have to worry about taking your dog for a walk or doing laundry unless you need to. Uh,
Mhm.
but they have a chef. They'll come in and change your linens. It's just really nice. And just being around other creatives is really
Mhm.
inspiring. And that's probably my favorite part, is
Mhm.
just being around artists all day and seeing what they're working on and talking and connecting.
Mhm. Interesting. Yeah, I've seen although residencies like that seem to be kind of few and far between, but I've seen postings for some of those and I haven't applied yet, but I'm tempted. Guess
They're
yeah,
a
they
lot of
sound
fun.
wonderful.
They're a lot of fun.
Mhm. Have you ever done a residency, Julie, or
I
looked into that?
I have not, no. But I kind of do co-working
Okay.
where I we meet in a Zoom office and
Mhm.
we write and then we break for a break and chat and then we go back to writing. So
Mhm.
I get to interact with and other writers and
That sounds like fun.
it's nice to bounce ideas off of each other sometimes
Yes.
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
because writing just sitting at your desk all day long, is kind of an isolating experience. So, yep. All right. Let me see. I think we had. Oh, and have you ever been to France, Julie? I may as well ask you that too, because
I have not.
yeah, I have not spent much time in France. I was in France for a couple hours one time. We took a ferry from Dover over to Calais, and we got off the ferry, and an older man walking a bicycle in a coat exposed himself to us.
Oh no!
And I was with my cousin. This was like a backpacking through Europe kind of trip, and France was our first our first country on our own. So we got out of there as quickly as
Oh
possible.
no. That's a terrible experience.
But I have been wanting to go back. So someday, I keep telling my husband I'm going to go to Paris, with or without him at this point. It was supposed to be with him, but I'm ready to go without him.
Yeah.
All right. We've got a couple other questions, so let's just do those real quick before we hear from Julie. Deanna wants to know, how long have you been writing for? So Julie, you want to take that one first?
Sure. Probably like a lot of writers, most of my life. I used to in class, I would, if I finished my work early, I would write stories. But for publication, I started publishing a few years ago now. I think back in 23
Mm-hmm.
was when my first one came out. And so that's when I really started writing for other people.
And haven't looked back since then.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty similar, right? So maybe in high school is when I started to get really into writing for fun. And I didn't start writing for publication purposes until maybe 2019, 2020. And I actually didn't get into romance until just a couple years ago. So I was really focused on horror for the first few years of attempting publication, right? So
Mhm.
my journey there was really horror heavy until just the past couple years.
Well, you wouldn't know it after listening to you read your, light and fluffy contemporary romance. So,
I love it.
all right. Well, I'll save the other ones for
Yeah.
later, because yeah, we've got just a couple more. But I will save those for a little bit later. So, Julie, are you ready to read?
I am.
What do
Yay.
you have for us tonight?
I'm going to be reading from the first book in my Shifter Ranch Mate series. This is the collection of the first 3. And it follows 6 adopted shifter brothers who are turning their family ranch into a dude ranch, all while dealing with an unknown saboteur.
All right.
So,
and are we starting from chapter 1 or?
No, starting chapter 1, but scene 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will let you get to it, and we'll be back when you're done.
Okay. All right. Just to set it up, in the first scene, Declan, who's an overly responsible, somewhat grumpy bear shifter, has just spent the morning dealing with the fallout from a cut fence. The housekeeper wouldn't let them inside to tidy up as she had just finished cleaning, so Declan went for a swim in the pond while his brothers took a different approach to getting clean. And we're starting in Chloe's point of view. I slid across the red vinyl booth and picked up the menu, eager for some decent food. It was part of why I agreed to my upcoming job so quickly. Real cooking, as opposed to the backpacking meals I'd been making for myself the last month as I hiked a remote mountain to get shots for a travel magazine. I was due for a break, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to spend time on a ranch run by shifters. Ever since my sister, Sophie, married her bear shifter mate, my fascination with shifters had grown. Despite all the traveling we'd done as children, we'd still only spent time among humans. Shifters were mysterious, living separately, an unknown. A petite blonde waitress walked over and put a glass of water in front of me. Her name tag read Hannah. "What can I get for you?" "I'll take a cheeseburger with everything on it, fries, and a chocolate milkshake. Extra chocolatey if possible, Hannah." I gave her a grin as I folded my hands in a praying position. She laughed and took my menu. "I'll do what I can." I pulled out my phone and looked at the map. Jasper had sent me a pin for the ranch's location, which was about 30 minutes away. I could have gone straight through, but this was the closest town, and I wanted to look around first. I never missed a chance to explore. Life was too short and too uncertain. When I was 12, I got sick, forcing my family to stop their travels and settle in one place. I was healthy again, but it taught me never to take life for granted. As soon as I was able, I took off on my adventures, my camera giving me the freedom to go where I wanted. It also gave me a unique view of the world. I ran a web search on dude ranches and checked out a few websites to see the pictures used. It looked to be straightforward, with photos of happy guests and gorgeous landscapes. But the ranch I was photographing wasn't operating as a dude ranch yet, so I couldn't get photos with guests enjoying themselves. I'd have to make sure my shots looked enticing for potential customers. Hannah came back and slid my plate onto the table. My mouth watered at the sight and smell of the burger, but it was nothing compared to the thick, dark milkshake she pulled out from her back. She might have gone overboard on the chocolate, but I wasn't complaining. She'd even topped it with whipped cream and chocolate syrup. Hannah, you are a goddess. It's my pleasure. Her dimples flashed. Haven't seen you around here before. Are you passing through? I took a long sip of the cold milkshake, moaning with pleasure as the chocolate hit my tongue. I'm a photographer. Shifter Ranch hired me to take photos for their new dude ranch. She tilted her head. You're not a shifter. Don't they make you nervous? No, my brother-in-law is a shifter. Nice guy, and treats my sister like she's his world. I didn't tell her about the mates thing. That was a longer conversation, and not something she needed to know. I'd think you would be used to shifters with their ranch being so close. They don't come to town often, and when they do, it's just to grab supplies. She sat on the bench across from me when I gestured for her to join me. I'd come in between mealtimes, so she didn't appear to be busy. It used to be the parents until they died last year. Now it's mostly just the eldest brother and their housekeeper. I took a bite of my burger, definitely better than my camping food. It seems odd they'd open a dude ranch when they're not social. Rumor has it the ranch is in trouble. She snuck a fry off my plate. They've had a string of bad luck with equipment repairs and things like that. Other ranches are circling, waiting for them to have to sell their land. It's prime real estate. Sounds like I need to take some amazing photos. The clatter of dishes and scraping of a chair on the floor had me turning toward the counter. A tall, thin man wearing a faded blue ball cap threw money down before stalking out of the diner, his food half eaten. My photographer's eye automatically took in his profile as he raised his cell phone to his ear, lips drawn into a tight line. Hannah quickly moved to clear his table before returning to sit across from me. We chatted while I finished my food. She filled me in on local gossip, what not to miss in the area, and everything she knew about Shifter Ranch, which wasn't much. Mostly how the brothers were all hot but intimidating, as most shifters seemed to be, but she hadn't met any of them herself. I wasn't sure how long I'd be staying, but we exchanged numbers and made tentative plans for a girls' night before I left. Now I was turning off the main highway onto a dirt road with a sign for the ranch. I planned to return for a picture of the metal sign, but wanted to suggest they plant some flowers to dress it up and make it more welcoming. After parking in front of a 2.5-story house, I stepped out of my car, immediately hearing shouts and laughter coming from around back. On instinct, I grabbed my camera and headed for the noise, grinning when I saw 3 grown men having a water fight. I lifted my camera and started shooting. They were shirtless, and 2 were wrestling while the third shot them with water from a garden hose. As my shutter clicked, a 4th came running out of the barn, carrying a couple of fluorescent water guns. I crouched, taking shots from different angles. I moved closer, choking back my own laughter, not wanting to interrupt their fun, but I forgot they were shifters with shifter senses. The blonde holding the hose spun around and shot me full on with a blast of cold water, which made me slip and fall into a puddle of mud. Their laughter faded, and I heard someone curse as they traded embarrassed looks. After checking to make sure my camera was okay, I got to my feet and walked to the barn, keeping my expression stern. I hung my camera just inside the open door before turning and sprinting toward the brown-haired guy with the water guns. I grabbed the biggest one and aimed straight for the blonde's face, hitting him right on the nose. Nice shot, the guy I took the gun from laughed. But I was an equal opportunity water fighter and quickly turned on him, catching him in the mouth with another stream. Then it was on. The water fight devolved into a mud fight as we slipped and slid across the wet ground. I threw my head back and laughed after a handful of mud met its target on someone's chest. A movement out of the corner of my eye had me turning toward the barn. A tall, scowling, bearded man stood with arms crossed over his massive chest, shirt clinging to his damp skin. Under the brim of his hat, his dark gaze focused on me. He was all coiled energy, waiting to strike. But at what, I didn't know. All I knew was I couldn't tear my eyes off of him. Declan. She stood, soaking wet and covered in mud. Her red curls were pure chaos around her laughing face, and her clothes clung to her athletic body that had the perfect amount of curves. When she caught me staring at her, her smile faded, and she stared back. I just made out the hazel color of her wide eyes from where I stood. Her scent, rich chocolate and tangy citrus, was barely noticeable over the mud masking it, but I still recognized her for what she was to me. Mate. My bear wanted out. He wanted to protect his mate, but she appeared a willing participant in the madness happening in front of me. A roar slipped out when I spied Austin sneaking up behind her with a handful of mud. Everyone skidded to a stop and faced me. Guilty looks crossed my brothers' faces as they surveyed the muddy mess they'd created. Mason, the only brother to join me at the pond, rounded the corner to stand next to me, his limp more pronounced after the morning on horseback. Thought we were supposed to clean up, not make a mess. We were just having some fun. Ethan tried to run his fingers through his hair, but the mud-caked locks got in his way. His grin was sheepish. We may have gone a little overboard. My mate was still staring at me. I shoved down the urge to puff out my chest and posture for her, but I removed my hat so she could get a better look. I'd been told I was easy on the eyes, something I hoped my mate would agree with. When I spoke, a raspiness that wasn't usually there colored my voice. Not the usual way to welcome our company. You must be Chloe. My words seemed to jolt her out of her stare, and she flashed me a grin. It was perfect. I got some great photos before I joined the fun. She walked over to the barn, her arm almost brushing mine as she passed. I wanted to reach out and touch her, feel her skin, even covered in mud as she was, but I resisted the pull. She didn't know she was my mate, and may not welcome my touch. Yet. My bear rumbled beneath the surface, and Mason glanced my way, a question in his eyes. I shook my head, not willing to tell him why my bear was acting out. Chloe stepped closer to me, her gaze trained on the camera as she flipped through the shot she'd taken. She turned it toward me. Check out this one. You want to draw guests in? This will help. The photo showed Gabriel and Luke wrestling while Austin sprayed them with the hose. All three were laughing. In the background, I could just make out Ethan approaching with those plastic water guns that he and Austin insisted we needed. I frowned. We're opening a dude ranch, not hosting a kid's birthday party. First, it shows the ranch as a place for fun. That will get some people excited. She slid her gaze toward my mud-covered brothers and gave a slow grin. Second, the shirtless man candy will bring in a demographic all on their own. Jealousy flared at her appreciative tone. I wanted my mate to only look that way at me. Austin strutted like he was on a runway and winked at Chloe, who laughed at his antics, eyes sparkling. I frowned, angry words coming out before I could rethink them. This is still a working ranch. We didn't hire you to turn it into a circus. Her light dimmed and her shoulders stiffened. I caught glares from my brothers and an eyebrow raised from Mason. My mate mumbled something about getting her things and stalked off toward the front of the house. I scrubbed my hand over my face. I was not off to a good start with her. I'll go help her. Ethan started to follow her, but I stopped him. You go get cleaned up. I'll take care of it. I shoved my hat back on my head. This mess is mine to clean up.
All right. Who doesn't love a good mud fight? I love the growly grumpiness of him. You can already,
Yes.
you can definitely.
A little grumpy sunshine with this one.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Well, and I do not write paranormal, but yeah, as you were like, his bear was rumbling and all that. I'm like, ooh, yeah, it makes me want. I mean, I love to read paranormal, so it's been a while though since I read any kind of shifter. So, but while you were reading, I went and snagged your book that you have for free. So
me too.
and put the other one in my Kindle library. So yeah, so I will be looking forward to that. So I think Jen just kind of summed it up for us. So
Nice.
I think she enjoyed that. So where did the idea for this series come from?
It's actually a spin-off of the previous series. It's set in the same world, and Chloe is actually the sister of one of the female main characters in the first series.
Okay.
And Declan was first mentioned in the first series as there's this ranch. Mm-hmm. And it was just a throwaway line. And then I started thinking, well, what would a ranch run by shifters be like? And it just kind of grew from there.
Mm-hmm. So isn't it fun though, especially, those of us who don't plot everything down to the minutia, when you do leave yourself those little nuggets and you're like, golly, thanks, past Julie. That was really smart. Yeah, it's always so much fun when I find that I've done stuff like that. Do you guys, does that happen to you too? Or are you thoughtful about everything? Because I'm accidentally thoughtful sometimes, but rarely on purpose. How about you?
I don't know if it's so much like if it's just that my brain latches on to a throwaway line and builds off the what if, as opposed to it just sort of being something like knowing that it's going to be something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that what if, that when you ask that question about a character or a line that just shows up, and it's always kind of fun when it turns into something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How
Yeah,
about
there's
you, Tori? Does that happen?
every now and then there will be like a side character, a friend or a sibling, somebody, and I'm like, oh, but what if they had their own book?
Mm-hmm.
And so that part is where I'm like, okay, they need more. They can't,
Mm-hmm.
Going back again, writing shorts, right? You have to pick
Mm-hmm.
what's most important. And
Yes.
so your side characters don't always get completely flushed out. You don't
Mm-hmm.
get everything. So every now and then I'll have a side character who I'm just like, I have a story to tell.
Yeah. Well, my in the what I read, the waitress Hannah is actually the female main character for Ethan's Embrace, the book that's free.
Okay.
And when I wrote her, I was like, I wonder if I can fix her up with one of the brothers.
Nice.
And
Of course you can.
it just kind of spun off from there. And it was like, I
Mm-hmm.
learned about her in book 2, more about her, but it was like the whole time I was kind of wondering, what if?
Well, and I think, I mean, those of you watching chime in here, but I think readers love that when they can, meet a character earlier, and then, as they get to know the character, and as you, as the author, get to know that character, you kind of are cheering for them to get their own book. So I think
Yeah.
that's kind of fun too.
Yeah, I'm definitely that way as a reader, so I
Mm-hmm.
can see how it
Mhm.
goes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. We do have a couple more questions. I think we answered this one pretty much from Jen about, can you work on more than one story at a time? I think she must have asked that before I did, or before we started talking about that. But also, Tori, Jen did say way back when you
Oh,
were reading, that your book sounds so cute. I wanted to make
thank
sure you
you.
saw that.
I
Um,
appreciate it.
and then, yeah, Deanna wanted to know, do you write more than one book at a time? Okay, so here we have a fresh question. Jen wants to know, what made you want to become an author?
I've always been like a reader and a writer, and building the worlds in my head, and playing them out, and uh, it just was always there. It was one of those things where when I was younger, it was like, if somebody asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, I would have been, well, I want to be a writer, but that's not a real job.
Mhm.
And
I
when I
can't tell
realized,
you how many times we've heard that, and it's
when
like,
I
yeah,
realized it was a real
can be.
job,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, then I can do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think, I mean, I don't know how old you are, or any of that, but I think, like long before the, self-publishing was a thing, it wasn't really, a real job that was, available to everybody, because, yeah, I mean, you look at how many people would send in queries and things like that, and one in a million, it seemed like, would get, pulled out of a slush pile and stuff. So I do think that self-publishing has opened it up to a lot of us who really thought, I do want to be a writer, but it's just, it's like, I want to be an actor in Hollywood when you grow up. And it's like, okay, the number of people that want to be a movie star, and
Yeah.
then you look at how many people it actually happens to. So I don't know, at least for me, I feel like self-publishing really opened the door wide because you don't need to go through all of those gatekeepers and everything. So yeah, it can be a job. I mean, it probably always could be too, but if you want something hard enough, right? I mean, that's what they say. But yes, creative writing. I think there's lots of writing jobs, but to be an actual author and actually make money at what you're doing, yeah, I think that's only been a relatively recent thing. So yeah, I think a lot of us grew up that way. How about you, Tori? Did you always what made you want to be an author?
So I think for me, my kind of gateway into wanting to be an author, because I always I wanted to be a magazine writer for fashion magazines. And I kind of went that route with like writing for places. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I wrote about travel, I wrote about fashion, I wrote about all random topics. But it wasn't as fun. And so I was looking for making writing fun again. And so that's where I started with the horror poetry and getting published. And then, like, well, I love reading romances. Let's try it. Maybe I'll
Mm-hmm.
like it. If I don't like it, no big deal. No one ever asked to read it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I've always wanted to be a writer,
Mm-hmm.
but only maybe in the last 5 to 8 years have I thought of myself wanting to be an author in
Mm-hmm.
that way.
All right. Nice. And then, oh, Deanna wanted to know when we were talking about your residency, how long does a residency go for?
2 to 4 weeks, I think, depending on the place. So mine was like 2.5.
Okay. That is, that's plenty long enough. I mean,
But
not nearly
when
long
you're
enough.
there, you want it to be longer.
Well, right. I mean, that's like not
You
nearly
don't
long
want to go
enough,
home.
but it's plenty long enough to get a
Yeah.
taste for it, I think. And yeah,
It's
to
enough
have that
time to
experience.
get settled and start working on stuff and then wish you weren't leaving.
Right. Yes, I can imagine that. All right. And then looks like we still got them coming. They're asking lots of questions tonight. Jen wants to know, who would you pick to be the main characters in the books you just read from? I'm assuming she means if you were taking it. Yeah, she said actor after that. So if you're putting it on the big screen, who do you envision as your hero and heroine?
Okay, for Pampered in Paris, I see Anne Hathaway as my lead because she can be kind of, down to earth. She's got
Mm-hmm.
that vibe. But the lead, oof, that's a tough one, right? Because I don't really think about actors or real people when I kind of flesh out my characters. But I want to say Chad Michael Murray, maybe.
Okay.
And I watched a Christmas movie with him. He's back. So
I was going to say, I don't think I have heard him ever speak French, or I was
I
trying to
believe
think
in
of
him.
who would look like, a French actor.
Yeah.
But I think all my references are dated. I was thinking like a younger Adrian Brody, maybe, but
Okay. Yeah.
maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I just feel
Yeah.
like they would have some on-screen chemistry, those
Oh,
two.
for sure. Yes.
Yeah.
How about you, Julie?
This is a tough one because I am not visual at
Okay.
all. So I really don't see I have to have I get stock photos, like I get my cover and I find a stock photo for the female main character so I can refer to them and remember what they look like generally. But I don't see them in my head. I don't really see pictures in my head. So yeah, that's a tough one. I'm not even sure I could begin.
I was thinking about Jensen Ackles when you were reading.
Okay.
I was like, he would be a good bear shifter.
I think so. Yeah.
He's definitely easy on the eyes.
Yeah. He's got the
yeah.
broad shoulders, right? So he's a little more gruff, a little more.
Yeah. Maybe for Chloe, someone like Amy Adams, like kind of
Mhm.
funny, kind of like light, very light kind of feel.
Mhm.
She's not overly serious.
Mhm.
Um,
That
Nice.
could work. I could totally see that.
That's great. Yeah.
So that is super interesting that you said that, because when we have talked to other authors on the show too, it's always like a lot of people say like they just basically see the book play through their head like a movie, which is how I see it. But then, yeah, not everybody's like that.
no.
And I know my daughter and my husband both, we have just over the past like 2 years, it's kind of come up in conversation where, it's like when you say like picture an apple in your head and then describe it. And both of them were like, I don't see an apple. I'm like, how can you not see an apple? Like my
I
apple is like green and it's just kind of starting to
Ah.
turn red and it's got like a little stem and a little leaf and everything and it's got the little speckles on it. And they're like, no, like I know
I
what an
I,
apple looks like because I've seen it, but I
I
cannot force an apple into my head.
yeah. I think in words.
Uh-huh. And that's
So
fascinating to me.
yeah.
Did you know that, Tori?
No,
Did,
I'm
did
over
people
here like
that?
I'm such a touch and a smell person.
Mhm.
And so I do think that sways the images,
Yep. Oh,
but
for
I'm
sure.
definitely an image person. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just find that so interesting. Because yeah, my oldest is just a voracious reader. And I'm like, you read so much. Like you don't, as you're reading a book, like you don't see it like a movie playing in your head. And they're like, no, no.
I feel it.
Uh-huh.
I can feel the book kind of like
Mhm.
almost like how it feels, but yeah, I do not visually see it. And I didn't even realize that other people were so visual
Mhm.
until the last like year or so.
Right.
Because it was just normal for me
Right.
Yeah.
I know.
to not see it. And I
People
know
even
it was
talk about it.
and it's a struggle sometimes when you write because you need to create that
Mhm.
environment, that picture so people can see it.
Yep.
And so it really forces me to look at the world from a different perspective
Mhm.
than what I see in my head.
Yep. Yeah, it's so interesting. I mean, not only do we have different ways of putting a story together, but also of just the experience of bringing a story to life. I find that just fascinating. So, all right, little sidebar. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Um, all right. Oh, Deanna, this is a good one to wrap it up with. Deanna, when Deanna joins us, and even when she doesn't, Dawn always asks this question. But Deanna always asks this question, and it's a good one. We're almost out of time, so it's a good one to finish with. But Deanna wants to know if you could describe your love life, or we say just your life in general as a trope. What would it be? So, for example, I will always say like my husband and I, our meet cute was at a Halloween party, so it was costumed, um, kind of, I don't know, clumsy heroine kind of thing. Or a lot of people will say like, oh, it was friends to lovers, or it was a second chance, or yeah, whatever. But
Yeah.
if you have a significant lover is what I was trying to say, a significant other
Yeah.
in your life,
Yeah.
or have had one in the past, what was your meet cute kind of love life trope?
I'm gonna go a little outside the box on
Sure.
that. And I'm gonna say, why choose?
Woo!
Because I want to keep all the book boyfriends.
All right.
I love it.
I love that.
What?
Yeah. And now everybody needs to go read Julie's books because
Yes.
and so you're not writing White Shoes books,
I'm
are you?
not, no,
Or not yet?
no, not yet, no,
Yeah.
but I want to keep all of my male main characters. I want to keep them
Yep.
all. Like don't take
That
any
I
of them from me.
understand. You're a book boyfriend hoarder. We get it. We know your type around here. How about you, Tori?
So mine is definitely a meet cute. My husband and I met at a thing called Tuba Christmas. We both played baritone, and he asked to share music, so we shared a music
Ooh.
stand together.
Oh, that is very romantic.
And then we became friends, I guess,
Mhm.
and then started dating, and now we're married. So
Awesome. All right. There you go, Deanna. Does that make you happy? We got that one in. Jen
it's a
says
great
hers was
question.
blind date. So,
Ooh,
and
nice.
it must have worked out well.
Yeah.
So mine was actually my not that anyone cares, but my friend wanted me to go to this Halloween party because she had the perfect guy for me, and so I went to the party, and the perfect guy that she wanted to set me up with was not there. But that was the night that I met my husband. So I guess mine was a I don't know. What trope would that be? Like a botched fix up? I don't know.
A mistaken identity.
Ooh,
Maybe?
maybe?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. So, of course you care. Thanks, Deanna. But yeah, I keep thinking like I need to write that into a story sometime that it was
Yeah.
a missed opportunity that turned into the right thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what that trope is called. We'll have to come up with something. But we are out of time. So thank you so much, Julie and Tori, for being with me tonight.
Thank
And
you.
of course, we missed Dawn, but hopefully we did okay in her absence. And just before we sign off, Julie, where is the best place for people to find you if they want to learn more about you or hang out?
Facebook or my newsletter, which you can get to from my website, julierantseth.com. I'm also sometimes on Instagram.
All right. And you've got your book is free through Friday, the end of the day
Yes.
tomorrow?
Correct.
Okay. Fantastic. And Tori, how about you?
I am on Instagram way too much. But you can find me at Malotki Romance, and then my website is Malotki Writes.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, for everybody else, I hope you have a great weekend, and we will be back. This is the fourth Thursday of August, so we will be back the second Thursday of September. And as far as I know, Dawn and I should both be here. So we'll see you then. And thanks a lot for joining us again. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.